Thank you for joining us once again on Thoughts of a Freeman. I'm your host, Atticus Freeman, and it's time for our second installment of Black, or actually American history made by Black Americans. So, first up, we have Eatonville, Florida, which was founded in 1880, and it was the first Black town to be incorporated in the United States. Eatonville, Florida is also the childhood home of great American author Zora Neale Hurston. And prior to racial, sorry, lost my spot. Prior to racial integration, Club Eaton was a popular stop on the Chitlin Circuit, which featured the likes of Sam Cooke, B.B. King, Aretha Franklin, Ray Charles, and the list goes on and on and on, right? And so Eatonville, Florida, for those who have a desire to go to Florida, I don't. However, if you do have a desire to go to Florida, right, Eatonville, Florida is still a town, city, metropolitan place, not too big, right? That's still alive and well in Florida, right? And it's still majority Black, right? So next we have Thurgood Marshall, who's notably known as the first Black justice of the Supreme Court. However, did you know that Marshall was also the first Black Solicitor General of the United States? Right? So for those of you who don't know what a Solicitor General does, they determine the legal position of the United States when it comes to the Supreme Court. So simply put, the Solicitor General is America's lawyer. But prior to being named Solicitor General, Marshall was the chief counsel for the NAACP in the historic case of Brown versus the Board of Education, which was presented before the Supreme Court. So there's so much. I could probably do a whole show on Thurgood Marshall because he's a hero of mine. So if you have the time, and even if you don't have the time, make the time, and do a little bit of research because the research is fun on Thurgood Marshall. And finally, I'd like to talk about Mr. Nathaniel Uncle Nearest Green, who is the first known Black American master distiller in the United States. Right? For those of you who are not familiar with the term or the title master distiller, let me enlighten you. Right? The master distiller is the person who's in charge of all the operations in the distillery. So if you're making bourbon, whiskey, gin, what have you, right? Moonshine. The master distiller is the one who has the recipe all the way down, right? Lets you know, hey, put this in there, put that in there, stir this, do that. I'm not really sure what goes on in distillery. I'm more on the consumption side than the production side. However, okay, Uncle Nestor was the man, right? Now, here's an interesting fact. When Uncle Nestor became a master distiller, he was a slave. Right? Slavery was still going on, right? And they made this slave, Uncle Nestor, a master distiller, right? And here's another interesting fact, okay? Uncle Nestor taught Jasper Daniel, who later became known as Jack Daniel, the one and only, how to make whiskey, right? So I don't know too many things that are more American than Jack Daniel's whiskey. So, in my mind, that makes the argument that there aren't too many people who are more American than Uncle Nestor, Uncle Nearest, right? I keep saying Nestor, but Uncle Nearest. So whenever you're enjoying Jack Daniels, or because his family was able to open up a distillery, okay, and so now that's why you can actually go out and get a bottle of Uncle Nearest, Uncle Near's 1856. Never had any. I'm gonna probably go out and get some this weekend. Maybe, I don't know. Gotta see how things go. However, anytime that you're enjoying Jack Daniels or Uncle Near's 1856, produced by the Green Family's Distillery, just know that this is thanks to Uncle Near's, a great American who was black. So, I am Atticus Freeman. These have been my thoughts. You can find me on Facebook. Go there and like the Thoughts of a Freeman page. You can also find me on Instagram at Atticus_Freeman. Finally, you can reach me via email at 1770af@gmail.com. Also, make sure you do this. Subscribe to the Thoughts of a Freeman podcast, which can be found on Apple Music, Spotify, iHeartRadio, or wherever you get your podcasts from. I'm Atticus Freeman, and just remember, Black history is American history, and freedom is for those who fight for it.